Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. This is the September Roundtable. My name's Gary.
My name's Matt.
My name's Maria.
Jordan's here somewhere, and...
My name's Adam.
Yay! Yes, Jordan is here somewhere. I suppose I should do an impression to sound like Jordan's like, hello. Hello. I could fill in for Jordan so easily. There he is.
I can feel someone's going to get a slap.
Yeah.
And when you said that, then my internet started working.
Oh. So, here we are at the September Roundtable, and as you'd expect, we have some technical gremlins. As always, one of us has some ropey internet. It's Jordan's turn this time. So, Jordan might sort of dip in and out.
It's because it's raining and I live on an island.
It reminds me a little bit of the Five Doctors, with the fourth Doctor trapped on the time screen. We're all here, but one of our incarnations is trapped.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's like.
We
So
must make our way to the tower to save him.
Jordan's with us, but he might sort of duck in and out, depending on how his two cups join together with some string hold out. We'll see. Well, we hope you're keeping well, dear listener. Welcome back to another month. It's good to have you here. Hope you're keeping well and safe, and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. Indeed.
Yeah.
On this month, we're going to go through. We're going to talk about a couple of bits of news and updates. If there are any, we've got an event roundup to cover very quickly. Jordan and Maria were over at the BFI recently, so the Five Doctors event. No private invite needed. They just bought the tickets and rocked up, so they're going to talk about what they got up to over there. And then we're going to crack on with our monthly theme, which is we're thinking about people who want to dive in and do a Doctor Who marathon / binge watch / watch through, but don't necessarily have the time to watch every single story of every Doctor, blah, blah, blah. So we've gone through each Doctor, and we've each picked out an episode that we think would be a good one to watch for that Doctor, that doesn't involve lots of big, heavy exposition, doesn't need you to watch, every other episode in that run. You don't have to read a book, to understand it all, and Big Finish and everything. So, yeah, a collection of stories that you can put together, throw a list together and watch some good old Doctor Who from start to finish. And it's also, as we're coming up to November now, November is creeping up very quick. It's also a cool time to dive into those things, and do a bit of a watch from beginning up to where we are now as we run into the newer stuff that's about to land. How are you all? Let's go to Maria. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good, Gary. I'm still doing my Hartnell rewatch. So I watched the Celestial Toymaker last week, which was it's a weird one. I mean, I because I think it's quite a visual story. I find it quite hard to kind of know if it's a good story or a bad story, because you're listening to people doing things. So I think I like it, but I would love to see more episodes come back so I can be sure. I like Michael. Is it Michael Gough? Is that how you say his surname? He's good in it as the Celestial Toymaker. I do like him. And the fourth episode that we do have, I'm not sure about all the hopscotch game and everything that they're doing, but yeah, I watched that. It's another one off the list, and onwards and upwards. I think the next one is the Gunfighters. I think so. I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, I've done that, and I did a little thing I went to the BFI, as you said, went to see the 5 Doctors, which I was really excited about because I was, there was a mad rush to get tickets when the booking line opened. So I was really pleased to see that. It was a fantastic event. There were people there that I've been dying to see for years. So I've never met Janet Fielding, never met Peter Davidson. I met Sarah Sutton before, but it was lovely. I mean, we had the opportunity to meet them after the screening, have their photographs taken with them, have autographs. They were charging for selfies, actually, but we didn't mind. It was a fantastic event, even though I had to wait an hour to go and see them. It was fantastic. I'm not going to say anything about the actual screening except to say that it looks fantastic on the big screen. There's some special effects on there that they've added in that really add to what's already there. They've tried not to make it too modern. It's of its time, so it's got some effects that actually improve it probably for what it is at the time. But yeah, no, it was a really good event. I think it was almost packed out. There were a couple of seats there that were empty. So when you see empty seats, you're kind of thinking, I wish they could have filled them, with other people. But no, it was a really good event. It was the one thing that I've probably looked forward to with all these BFI events that I really wanted to see, and I would have been gutted if I hadn't been able to go. And everyone that was there seemed to have a really good time. Everyone was enjoying the screening. There was lots of people kind of laughing at certain points in the screening, at some of the lines, and it is quite an interesting experience when you're watching it with other people, because there are lines in there that you're not sure are funny, but when other people are laughing, you're laughing as well. So it was a really good event. I will be doing a write-up for it for the podcast, for the website as well.
Nice. That sounds good. Adam and I were absolutely gutted about that one because, I mean, it's a bit difficult for Adam, obviously, not being in the country at the minute. But
it's a little bit far, yeah.
Yeah, but it was such a popular story. Even though you said a couple of seats were empty, there was no way I was going to get a ticket for that. And then, yes, you reminded me, Maria, for the millionth time that I should join the BFI and become a member and do all that.
Well, even that doesn't guarantee your seats now because they have that super membership thing, whatever that is. But those empty seats are probably the ones they give out to the BBC lot. They give out seats to people involved in it, and maybe they didn't turn up. BBC Com tickets, I would imagine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, or somebody who couldn't get on the train because they weren't running or something like that. But what was the panel like, Maria, with Davo and Janet and Sarah? Because those three together are normally great fun, and I imagine they were brilliant on stage, weren't they?
Yeah. So Janet Fielding came up first, and she sat in the middle, and then she had Sarah Sutton to the left of her, and then Peter Davidson came on last. And then there's that banter between Janet Fielding and Peter Davidson. They were kind of constantly bantering with each other. Janet's very quick. She's very quick. She'll bring him up short if he says something. So they were so eventually she ended up sitting on the edge, and then Sarah Sutton sat in the middle between them because she said that's normally her space, so they kind of keep separate from each other. But no, it was a very good panel. It was interesting to kind of hear them talking about the era and what it was like kind of recording at that time, and I think what was interesting was Peter Davidson said that if his third season had been if all his run had been as good as the third season, he would have probably stayed another year. He kind of said he did say that, but then I think in the end he said, he was glad that he'd done the 3 years because that he felt that was the right right length for him, and he was worried about not getting employment afterwards. And I don't think from the comments that he said that he actually had any trouble, because I think
he's done loads since.
He's done loads. I mean, one of the things that Janet Fielding said was that he's normally got 2 or 3 series on the go, and he actually agreed. He's always an actor that's busy. He doesn't want to be, he's not sitting around on his laurels. He's always got something in the pipeline. And I think at that particular time as well, he was quite a popular actor. In spite of Doctor Who, so he was busy working. I think it was Janet that said she had difficulty finding parts afterwards, because they weren't really writing good parts for women at that time. So she obviously struggled a little bit, with trying to act afterwards.
Yeah, didn't she just turn 70? I didn't realise Janet Fielding was 70 years. So it's amazing.
Yeah, they did, and I think Janet got quite embarrassed at one point, because they got the audience to wish her a happy birthday. So we all did the happy birthday to Janet, and I think it she was slightly embarrassed about it, and then they brought her out a lovely bunch of flowers as well.
Oh,
so cool. Which was nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And there was a guest that was meant to come that didn't, which was Eric Saywood, which I didn't know, but he would have been due to come, but unfortunately he had to pull out. But they had who did they have? They had David Banks. I think there was is it Mark Hughes that were Cybermen?
Mark Haddy
might be. I don't know. I'll have to check. But David Banks was there as well, and there was a couple of other people that had worked on the Blu-ray, and there was somebody that had worked in production as well. So they had quite a few people there, because obviously it was one big screening. It was a 90-minute screening, so they had things in between. But it was good. I mean, they spent quite a long time talking to people, and the panel with Peter and Sarah and Janet was quite a long one as well. I think they did about an hour with that one, because people were keen to ask a lot of questions as well.
Yeah, it's a popular one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, that sounds really. Oh, it was David Banks and Mark Hardy.
Mark Hardy.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good.
Has everyone got their season 20 box sets now?
Oh yes.
Because I had a heart attack because I got the email saying it had been delivered by Royal Mail because they track it. And I got my neighbour to pop over. I said, I'll just go and grab that so I know it's safely in the house. And she was like, I've looked everywhere. I've looked under the tables. I've looked behind the gate. I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, what? And then I tracked it, and I forget they take a photo of where they've left it, and it's been shoved half hanging out of my neighbour's door. Oh, and I'm like, so I'm just hoping it's not been crushed through the letterbox. But I won't know for another month because I'm not back in the UK till November. So it's like this anxious wait to find out the condition of my season 20 box set. Because I was just glad it hadn't been stolen, because my neighbours didn't get home till like 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was like, is my box set hanging out of your letterbox? Like, yeah, it's been shoved halfway through. I'm like, okay. So yeah,
it should be all right.
I know.
Yeah,
hopefully
it's a wonderful set as well, this one. Yeah,
it looks great.
Very nice. Yeah, they're all coming together now. It's almost crazy because it doesn't seem like that long ago they started making these, but I think it's been 3 or 4 years now. They've been coming out 5 years maybe.
Are we halfway through now? Are we about halfway through?
Yeah, just over halfway through, yeah. And when I slotted this one into its predetermined gap on the shelf, I looked at all of them. I was thinking, wow, there's been loads. Yeah.
A very satisfying feeling, isn't it? Adding it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so BFI sounds very cool. Jordan's not here, otherwise we would have grabbed his thoughts on it as well, because he was there with Maria. Those two getting absolutely smashed, I assume, at the after party. Who knows? Probably. They're probably hanging all over. Yeah, all over.
Maria went dressed as Tegan, didn't you? Didn't you have the full team
Yes.
outfit on?
Cosplaying,
Yes,
sweet.
I did
Cosplaying.
on the hottest day that we've had for a few days. I was absolutely boiling, and
Amazing.
because I've got like a little top that obviously goes over underneath the jacket, and it's one of those ones where you kind of sweat the minute you put it on. And I was in two minds. I thought, shall I do this or shall I not? And then I thought, I'll probably never get another chance to kind of wear it, because obviously Janet Fielding was going to be there. So yeah, I wore it. I was really happy actually. It turned into a bit of a talking point between me and Janet. So that was nice actually. She really liked it. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
And who did Jordan go as?
Well,
Jordan.
he went as Jordan.
Letting the side down.
Yeah. Well, he was gonna wear his Fourth Doctor scarf, because he said he had one, and but I think it was a bit too hot. So
Davo wouldn't have liked that. Davison wouldn't have liked that at all.
Lucky escape.
He says in his biography, the one thing he hates is people coming anything to do with the Fourth Doctor. People coming dressed up as the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah, he got a
lucky escape.
Yeah, yeah. When Jordan pops back in, we'll get his quick thoughts on that. But Matt, how have you been, buddy?
Yeah, I've been very well, thank you. I was thinking just before we started recording, I was thinking, what Doctor Who stuff have I done this month? But I've actually, thinking about it, done quite a bit. I've had myself a little Geek's Handbag-esque BNN hunt.
I was going to ask you how you'd got on with that. Yeah,
for this impossible to track down TARDIS.
Have you got one?
No.
Oh
no,
man.
I haven't.
Oh,
no,
man.
The hunt goes on.
Those blimmin' TARDIS sets.
In one weekend, I went to 10 B&Ms.
Oh.
Yeah. I said to the missus, I said, I'll only be a couple of hours. I got back at like 8 o'clock at night. She was not happy. She was not happy.
Because you're going out looking for toys,
well,
basically.
They're not toys, Gary. They're collectibles.
You tell him.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I see one more B&M without a TARDIS, I think I'll cry. So I'm giving it a rest for a minute, and I'm hoping to get lucky on the next.
There's about 6 or 7 of those sets in the B&M round the corner from me.
Is there? You. I believe my connection is fading. I think I'm going to have to leave, I'm afraid.
I've not hunted them for ages, the old B&M sets. It's a bit of a circus, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it's the first time I've really, really wanted one of the sets, because I think it's, with the new design on the packaging, it's lovely. And the Ultimate Foe variant on the Sixth Doctor's coat, it's really nice looking set. And the price was good as well. But yeah, I mean, I went into one, and I asked the lady there who was stacking the shelves. She said, "I said, oh, have you got the new TARDIS set in?" And she looked at me and almost laughed and said, "No, you've got no chance. We had about 8 or 10 come in this morning. I stocked them myself, and within half an hour, 2 people had taken the lot. Somebody had come in and got 2, which I thought was fine. You know, that's what I was planning to do. I was planning on getting Adam one and myself one. And yeah, the other person came in and nabbed 8 and even said, you know how much money I'm going to make on these on eBay. So I was fuming.
They actually, B&M put a tweet out the other day about the Doctor Who sets, and the amount of abuse they got in the comments were like, people were just screenshotting eBay and the prices they're selling for, and like, you know, what is the point? That there is no joy looking for these sets anymore. It's just, it's so annoying, isn't it, Matt? Have you managed to pick up either of the Dalek sets?
No.
So you haven't got any of
Nothing yet.
Sorry,
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed, but yeah, it's,
I could just
think a lot.
I can imagine Matt going into B&M number 7, just looking absolutely miffed and look. I'm just going to get straight to the point. Do you have these or not? I want to be here for half an hour. Do you have them or not? Let me have a look. I'm out of here. See you later.
Exactly, and the thing with B&Ms is they organize it in a way where you have to walk through the entire shop to get to where the Doctor Who sets are, and then there's people that aren't privy to the fact that you've already been to 8 today, and they're just doing their shopping, and you want to just get in and get out, and you can't go to the till because they've locked it off, and they look at you suspiciously when you haven't bought anything, and you walk out, and you're like, well, if only you knew what I've been through today.
I remember
it's absolute hellholes.
Yeah, I remember when B&M first started doing these sets a while ago. It was a couple of years ago now. I can't remember, but and I was interested in the first couple they did. I remember phoning one of the B&Ms and a lady answering, and when I was asking them about, do you have these latest Doctor Who sets in, she just put the phone down, but she didn't put me on hold or anything, so I could hear her talking to a colleague and like, Sandra, do we have any of these new Doctor Who sets in? And you could just hear a colleague, what are you talking about? These Doctor Who sets? I don't bloody know. What's a Doctor Who set? The programme, So these two are having a full-on sort of debate about what Doctor Who is in the first place, let alone do they have the sets in. And then she just left. I was on hold for 10, 11 minutes. She just went off. So I was thinking about hanging up, and she come back and she just went, no, we don't have those, I'm afraid. After all that, I was like, all right, thank you, bye. That was like your phone bill just wrecked listening to them two talk about Doctor Who. The old B&Ms. Love them.
Yeah. Tricky to say the least.
Fun and games, yes.
But,
Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Matt, are you done, dude? Are you done with your...
Well, I can be. I was just going to say, apart from that, I've just been watching a lot of... more classic Who. I've gone through the first Doctor and about halfway through the second Doctor now. Just finished the Web of Fear the other night. It's a bit more slow going. I had a lot of free time back along, and I just completely concentrated on the first Doctor and just rinsed all of the episodes through there. And I'm just loving it. I'm just so much more of appreciation for the first 2 Doctors so far, and it's the companions as well, and realizing how little I've seen of the actual earlier days. So a lot of it is coming in fresh, and I'm blown away by some of it. I mean, some of it can be a little bit of you get to episode 3 on some stories, and it can be a little bit drawn out, but you stick with it, and they've all got, every story has had something engaging and enjoyable from it, no matter how, on the whole it may be perceived. Finally, just the last night, I what would you call it? Packaged the new season 20 box set. I was umming and ahhing. I wanted to keep it sealed, but I wanted to see the stuff, and I was, okay, I'll rip it open. So I've done it, and I put in straight away the 5 Doctors 40th anniversary. Jordan was saying, you got to watch it. It's great, and I wasn't disappointed. I won't say too much, but like Maria said, it's tastefully done. But the effects, they're lovely. They're beautifully done. And the picture looks crystal clear. I had it on a 4K telly on the PlayStation 5, so it was like top requirements, and it looked lovely. There was a couple of bits. I think the only part is they've reanimated where I can't remember what he's called. The silver...
The Raston robot.
That's it, the Raston robot, thank you. Where he jumps, there is a new effect, and there was just 2 bits where they've missed it. They've missed the effect in two jumps, but that was it.
Really? What do you mean? What do you mean they've missed it?
So, in two of his jumps in the middle of his sort of scene when he's attacking the Cybermen, he jumps and there's no new effect. So he just jumps, disappears, and reappears.
Dear.
Oh,
Right,
And
we need
the effect
replacement
looks so
discs.
good.
We need replacement discs straight away.
he's not even
I
even
know.
got
You
you
that
set.
when
ruined
we
it
saw it
now,
at the
Matt.
BFI.
You ruined it. Yeah.
Did you notice it at the BFI, Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh, so that means because obviously they have all the people involved in it there. They probably were looking, thinking, "Oh no,
Yeah. There's probably a bit of bad language going on in the back row somewhere, I should
oh,
Just imagine they looked at each other like, did you okay this bit? Kind of.
Russell Minton's like bursting through the door. What the hell's going on? Marquez is hiding behind a stereo deck. Oh no!
Very quickly,
To be fair,
Jordan, Maria gave us the rundown on the Five Doctors BFI event,
Yep.
but your internet crashed out. Just very quickly, did you think that was a cool event? Was that a good one for you?
I did. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was short. Okay.
To the point.
Yeah. Was it good? Yes
my
or
highlight
no?
was meeting Janet Fielding. That was my highlight.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Guys.
She is tiny. She's tiny.
she was really small, wasn't she?
Yeah. Maybe it didn't help that I was actually wearing like a wedge heel, but yeah, she's
Maria
tiny in real
towering
life.
over her.
Yeah, we saw your picture, Maria.
Yeah.
Got their heels
But
on.
she seems
Ask,
so
how
lovely.
tall are you, Jordan?
6'4",
Jesus.
6'4".
and she's
Hmm.
probably like 2'6". So,
Careful,
Oh.
she does listen.
oh yeah,
Sorry,
sorry,
Janet.
Janet.
Yeah, soz.
Well, even the bloke that took the picture was like, sort of like leveled the camera and then was like, "Oh, hold on," and had to like take like 3 steps back so he could get both of us in.
There's like a
Just
cool-
hit that
cool event.
0.5 button. Would have been fine.
Yeah. Guys, I've done something foolish.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Got on to press record.
I've only ever done that once before. Thank you.
Yeah.
I did though. Remember very early on back in the
Yes.
day, Adam, there was one episode we were
Yeah.
like 20 minutes in. I'm like, mate, we need to do this all again because I didn't press record. And
It's in his Peter's sweat of like, oh, should I tell him or should I just carry on?
yeah, Adam was not impressed with me on that day. The hounds of hell were released on that day. Yeah, so I was casually looking through my RSS feed that comes in, and I just basically bring in a bunch of Doctor Who news sites and everything just to keep up with what's going on. And the other day, it popped up that they're re-releasing series 1 to 4 remastered Blu-ray. And I had absolutely no intention of ordering it at all because I've got it twice already. I clicked through, and then I don't know what it was, but it was like another power was taking control of my right arm and was moving my mouse around. And then before I know it, it's like, this has been added to your basket. And I'm like, this is absolutely nuts. I've only added it just to see if it's available. It's probably not. Oh, it is. Okay. And then before I know it, I'm putting the payment information in. It's all gone through.
That happened to you too.
Why have I done that? Why on earth have I done this? This is clearly a problem, right? This is a problem for sure.
Well,
Oh, I think you need to give a prize away to someone then, don't you? You need to dig into that prize box and dig out some Blu-rays then.
I've probably got a busted old Dalek toy somewhere. Give that away.
Where's Dalek Tattoo these days?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, where is
gosh.
Dalek?
Where is
Oh.
Dalek Tat?
Dalek Tat.
We could pop
haven't
some
heard
bubble
from
wrap
him in a
around
while.
him, couldn't we?
Just wheel him off somewhere.
Yeah.
So, guys, I don't know what to do. I mean, yeah, I'm very happy with the old original DVD box sets I've got and the ones I've got on Blu-ray already. I think the ones that they released on Blu-ray a few years ago, they weren't remastered; they were just upscaled, just to fit
And
the
the
kind of
And the time rate at the time, what's they call it? The time frame
frame rate
was wrong
Yeah.
on it. The frame rate, that's it, is not right on the early ones, which bugs the hell out of me. Which is making me tempted to get the new issues as well.
Oh.
But isn't it annoying? Why have we got to pay for something that they buggered up
Yeah.
in the first place? You know,
Yeah, so now triple dipping on the old. Yeah.
Well, the only good thing is I've just invested in a Blu-ray player. It's actually sitting in a box at the moment. I haven't opened it yet. It arrived yesterday. So the thing is, I can undo all those mistakes that you've done in the past, and I can buy everything as it should be, hopefully now.
Well, yeah, this is okay for you. You can buy all the editions now as they're supposed to be, like the brand new versions and everything. Oh, crikey. So actually, you've got them available on what used to be BritBox on ITVX now. So I've got all of the classic Who on there. You've got all of modern Who on BBC iPlayer here in the UK. So I've got all of these different bloody versions of them. And then I said to myself, why don't you just cancel it, Gary? It's very easily done. Just hop back in, cancel the order. You'll sleep all right tonight. But no, it's clearly a stupid bloody problem that we all seem to have with Doctor Who merch. We should.
You know what will happen now, don't you? Is this box set will turn up, and then they'll announce that they're doing them as like the next collection set.
Oh, Jordan.
You'll have Christopher Eccleston Series 1 will now be Series 27, and you'll think, oh no, I've just bought them on like a big box, and now I'm like quadruple
dipping, yeah. Although it is quite impressive, though, if somebody comes round and they're like, "You're into Doctor Who, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit, like it a little bit. Can you put an episode on for us? Come this way. Come over to the bookcase and take your pick from all these different versions I've got." But the only danger with that is that you do fall into the territory of there's like two problems. This is first world problems. I'm fully aware of this, but there are two additional problems that this lends itself to. The first one is, how many of you have fired up Netflix or Amazon Prime or something because you want to watch something, and then about 45 minutes later, you're still swiping through or scrolling through because you haven't found anything. So you So it's kind of like that with Doctor Who. When you're in the mood to watch Doctor Who, it's like, what one to watch? Because in a roundabout sort of way, when Adam and I were going through all of our reviews, that problem was removed because we had a schedule. Right, we're going to review this story. We had to go and watch that story. So it's kind of simple in that way. But if you're just in the mood for Who, it's the same thing. You can just sit there and stare at the bloody shelves for half an hour thinking, what? But now it's like the additional problem of like, well, what version am I going to watch now? Do I keep it purist? Do I keep it SD? And get the DVD out in all its SD glory, or do I go high def? Do I go the newer one? I don't know. So this is not good, but it's also good in a way. Fan. Yeah,
I'd love to see 4K releases.
Oh, shut up, you! There's going to be a new. There's going to be in a few years' time. There'll be some really snazzy AI algorithm that can upscale these things beautifully to 4K, and then we'll have to buy them again and.
Yeah. You don't see Star Trek fans having this problem, do you?
No. Well, Star Trek fans, you've had a couple of releases of at least the original stuff, right? That was released on Blu-ray, I think, or HD or something.
Yeah, I think so. That the Next Generation. But if you're into Deep Space Nine, Voyager, or Enterprise,
your luck's out.
They don't. They people don't care. So.
Sorry, Star Trek fans. Similar story.
You'll never understand what it's like being a Doctor Who fan. How many versions of the 5 Doctors do we need? How many versions of Sharda do we need?
True. So please let me know, guys, if you do order it, so I'm not alone in this pursuit of craziness.
I tell you what, if Adam orders it, or any of our US listeners, we're going to have they'll have a little bit of a decision to make, because the US release, I'm not sure if it still is, but when it leaked earlier than our version was announced, it came with exclusive mini Titan figures.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, but it's got the Whittaker logo on it, so I'm refusing to buy it over here.
Adam, come on.
I want the diamond logo on it, or I'm not buying it. I don't care if it comes with a Titan. I'm not buying it. I don't want that Twiglet logo on it.
Would you prefer that to change on the collection box sets as well?
Well, no.
Yes,
only because we would. Well, if we had the choice, like it would look, those collection Blu-rays would look so much nicer with the diamond logo. But no, now they've released half of them with the Twiglet logo. Then we've just got to carry on with it. But yeah, I mean, imagine looking on your shelf and seeing those lovely Blu-ray sets with the diamond logo on the spine. You can't tell me that wouldn't look better. It would. But no, we've gone too far down the rabbit hole now. We can't, unless they reissue them on 4K with the diamond.
Do you know what? That's not outside the realm of possibility. Not, you know, I think when all of these sets are finally done, they're likely to do like a big, massive collector's edition. It will come in like a bloody hamper or something.
Yeah,
and it'll have everything in it, and you know, so they will. They
like
did that.
a Fordham and Mason's hamper of Doctor Who. Yeah, brilliant. That I want.
Yeah, and a cricket ball. In there as well. But they did
a Sonic, a cricket ball,
piece of celery, please remove before expiry.
Pineapple chunks,
stick of
the
celery.
Doctor's hand, the
whole lot. So that's not they do that stuff now. And I remember they did that with the Lord of the Rings. They did a whole big special collector's thing called the Middle Earth collection. It had all the films, both the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, everything. And I think it was about like £300 or something. That was only like 6 films, but had like a load of extras and stuff. But you know, can you imagine like I don't know, probably about like 500 quid, like mega limited, 100 copies or 500 copies of it, big old 4K jobby. Oh God!
It's like the Star Wars release. I think it was 2020. They had it was like this big cardboard matte finish Skywalker saga. I ended up I did pre-order it and I was gutted because it arrived and something had happened, something had squashed it, and in the end yeah, pretty much. I was about to say there's some things that never change. You could listen to episode 1 of this podcast and you could listen to today's episode, and Adam's Postman has never changed.
Still wrecking all of Adam's stuff years on end,
shoving it through the wrong box.
Anyway, I just wanted to do this as a bit of therapy for myself, just to get that out there, and hoping that one of you guys would order it also. But I think Matt's going to order it. Matt's nodding. Matt's on it. He's on it.
Oh, I've already done it. The impulse that you seem to have mysteriously awakened when trying not to purchase it seems to have just somehow affected me also. I'm not sure how it happened. I was grabbing my other hand trying to pull it away from the computer before I clicked buy pre-order now, and it just wouldn't work.
It's catching, mate. It is catching.
Yeah.
Yep. Okie dokie. We should probably rattle on, shouldn't we, to our main crux of the monthly episode. It's been half an hour. We've waffled on.
I was going to say, or it will be a 3-hour podcast like we were talking about earlier.
It's like old times, the early episodes. I just used to waffle about nonsense
forever.
And then at the end, we'll be like, so what's the score for this episode? Don't know. 5? Yeah. So it's like 95% of it is just nonsense, and then 4% is about the actual episode. So we are talking about picking out a story for each Doctor for the sake of our listener or whoever who wants to dive into a bit of a rewatch before the new stuff lands. And who wants to go first for the first Doctor? Who wants to go first? Adam has got his hand up.
No, I was going to say, let's go to Jordan.
Jordan, go on, dude.
Come on, because I know he's got his list and he's been waiting to unveil it. Come on.
So I didn't struggle with it, but I did struggle with it. So I sort of went for a lot of them. I went with like the first story that I saw from each one. So I'm hoping that this is kind of out of the box. I've gone for the War Machines as a first Doctor one.
Yes.
I could have done the Aztecs. I could have done the Daleks or an Unearthly Child, but I think the War Machines is sort of ignoring the poor exit that Dodo gets. I think it is actually quite accessible for people because it's not the sort of stuffy, crotchety First Doctor, you can see that he's sort of changed as it goes on. And it sort of gives you an idea for what they're then going to do later on, where the Doctor gets exiled to Earth, and it's that sort of format. But I think The War Machines is a really good story. It's an odd one. It's not one that people, I think, necessarily think, oh, I must go and watch The War Machines. But I think it's actually a pretty decent First Doctor story.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll get mine out the way very quick because mine was also The War Machines. So that was mine done. Yeah, we could have gone with the obvious ones like An Unearthly Child, all that stuff. But The War Machines, I thought was cool because other than the stuff going on with Dodo, you're right, Jordan, you do see a slightly different side to the Doctor in a few of those scenes and episodes. It's a bit like he's kind of coming around at this point to not being, because in some of the episodes before that, he's a real cheeky bugger. You know, there's a couple of scenes where he's a bit sort of underhanded. Ian catches him out on a few things and, you know, he's just a bit crafty and stuff. But in this one, you can tell that his intent was there right from the beginning, and it's a solid story. So, yes, agreed on The War Machines. Who's next?
I'll go.
I'll go next.
Go on in.
Matt?
Maria, after you.
For choice now.
Go on in, Maria.
Okay. So originally I kind of put down the Daleks because I thought that's obviously the first story of the monsters that we all know and love. But I changed my mind and I actually went for the Dalek invasion of Earth. And the reason being is I think it's...
Oh, no. We've lost Maria.
That was a hell of a cliffhanger, wasn't it? The reason being, to be continued.
Tune in next month for Maria. While Maria's reconnecting, Matt, do you want to go, dude?
Yeah, of course. So I had a couple, but I'm going to stick with the Space Museum.
Oh! Why is that?
Well, I think it's really fun, and I think it's ahead of its time. In a lot of ways, a lot of ideas with the whole sort of concept of the trouble with time travel, the dangers of it, were explained for probably the first time in that story. I also think everybody gets their moment to shine in this one, and I think the whole. I didn't think during the whole thing that there was any sort of lackluster moments, any filler moments. I just thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. The other one would have been Planet of the Giants, which I thought was just really easygoing and quite funny, especially when they're about to fall down the plug hole.
Okay. Yeah, cool choice, dude. Okie dokie.
I'm actually glad Matt's picked that one because the Space Museum is the one that I always overlook. I always forget how much I like that story. Even now, tonight, when we've made the list, I haven't put it on there because I always skim past it and forget it. That's a great choice, Matt. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
Very overrated. Yeah, very underrated.
I think the first episode in particular of that one is very good.
Yeah.
You did make me panic, though, then, Matt. I must be the only person who panicked because I couldn't find the Space Museum on my shelf. And then realised, oh, hang on, it's in the Series 2 box set.
It's in the box set, yeah.
I'm looking at the DVDs. I'm like, oh my God, where's the Space Museum gone?
Being a Doctor Who collector, oh my God, I'm missing one.
Yeah. Has anything been stolen, sir? Yes, very specifically the Space Museum.
The Space Museum.
Yes.
But the second release, not the first release.
The Space Museum's gone.
They left the PS4 officer, they left the television and all the jewelry, but they have taken the space.
Yeah. Maria, if you can hear us and you can talk, you're on mute, by the way. So unmute. Here we go. What was your choice? You left a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, sorry. I chose the Dalek invasion of Earth. It's a story that I've gone back to a few times, and I think the reason is it actually has a really good premise. The idea of the Earth being invaded in the future by the Daleks, and just the way that it kind of draws you in. You know, the way the TARDIS crew are kind of drawn into the story. You know, they know that it's not present day Earth. You know, they know that it's something, and you know that they eventually learn that it's happening in the future. You know, and some of the direction I find is really, really impressive. You know, the way the Dalek comes out of the water. There's bits later on where you see the characters running through the streets of London or running around, you know, Bedfordshire, and I just find it a really impressive story. I mean, it kind of builds with its characters. You get to know each of the characters. You have, you know, you get to you know, feel sorry for some of them as well. You know, not a lot of people actually survive in the story as well. There's only a few that survive, and I find the ending when Susan leaves, I kind of forget how genuinely moving it is as well, and I always get a lump in my throat at the end of it, and it's kind of unexpected, really. I know she's leaving, but I kind of forget how moving that moment is, and then you've got the Doctor's speech at the end about, you know, that he's going to come back one day. I just find it a really impressive story, and I love the fact that it's set on Earth, and you know, there's lots of recognizable characters in it, and you know, and the struggle between different characters. You know, some people, you know, you don't know what their motives are, and you know, you get really different shades of people in that story. So it's one I go back to. I've been back to a few times. I just really enjoy watching it.
Very good. Very good. Adam, what was your choice, dude?
Well, I can't believe nobody's picked the Web Planet. I mean, what's wrong with you lot? It's obviously the perfect introduction to Hartnell. No, I shouldn't have let Jordan go first, because I had written The War Machines. It is and always has been one of those stories that I just think is cracking. I love it. I think it's got so many good moments in it, like Hartnell gripping his lapel. So there's not much more I can say that Jordan did say. It's just a good story, I think. It feels classic 60s. Who as well, the War Machines themselves are so bulky and clumsy, and it's such a classic sort of, you know, I don't want to say rubbish because that undermines it, but it's just very much of its time, but I love it for it. But if I could just quickly throw in, because Jordan did say War Machines, and so did you, Gary, I do think the first episode of Unearthly Child, although it's an obvious one, I still think it's a fantastic piece of science fiction television. So I'd recommend anybody to watch the first episode, but then obviously Tribe of Gum, they probably want to not bother with that. But the first episode, Unearthly Child, I mean, it's superb, and it is sublime piece of crazy television. And so maybe I'll go for that, as everyone else is. Okay. Well, a couple of you have already picked War Machines. Yeah,
nice. Good choices there, dudes. Let's get on to we're going to have to rattle through these a little bit quicker.
Yes, we will, yeah.
So let's get on to the second Doctor then. Who wants to go first? We'll stick with the same order. Jordan, second Doctor.
I've chosen the Mind Robber for the second Doctor. Oh, no, have I? Is it just going to be, I'm just going to pick every single one that everybody else has picked? I don't know. I think it's fun in the same way that the War Machines is quite different. And I think the good thing about the Mind Robber is if you don't like one episode, then it's all right, because the next episode will be, you know, you've got Medusa in one, you've got D'Artagnan in another one, you know, there's different things happening in each one. But similarly to like the first episode of An Unearthly Child, I think the first episode of The Mind Robber is probably one of the best episodes, standalone episodes of certainly classic Who, if not all of Who. And it's just the Dr. Jamie and Zoe in it.
Yeah, true. Okay. That's a belter of a story. Yeah, nice one. Okay, my choice on this one is going to be the Ice Warriors. The Ice Warriors. Because I think it's a great, scary story. I think it's one of those Troughton stories that, other than obviously Troughton sporting a very fetching, big, fluffy winter coat through some of it, which changes up the look a little bit. I think the Ice Warriors themselves were done very, very well. So up at this point, the villains that we've had have been the big ones, if you like. So Cybermen, the Daleks, etc. So to throw in a brand new villain, if you like, with the Ice Warriors is really cool. So and I think Jamie's very good in this one as well. So my pick is the Ice Warriors. Maria.
Okay. I'm not going to say that I was torn with the Second Doctor, but I eventually went with how can I not be? I kind of looked at my list actually, and I'm kind of surprised at how much I'm kind of going for monster stories, but I don't know why, but they just appeal to me. So I went eventually for the Invasion. Again, it's a kind of modern day story, modern of the time. And I just that's another one that I actually really enjoy. It's set in London. There's lots of iconic scenes in it, with the Cybermen. And it's got Zoe in it. It's got Jamie in it, and the Second Doctor, who are actually a really good team together. So that was the one that I kind of chose, but I was torn. I would have probably picked the Tomb of the Cybermen or Web of Fear, because I like those as well.
Cool. The Invasion. So the first time we see Unit, right? Is it the Invasion? The first Unit story? I think so. Could be wrong.
Is it?
I think it might be the first time they're mentioned as Unit, but we see Brigadier in the Web of Fear, don't we?
Oh, yes, yeah. So this must be the first time that, Unit itself is... Yeah.
But he's not Brigadier then, I don't think.
That's right, yeah. That's right, yes. Okay, 8 parts though, Maria. Jesus. Get comfy for that one. I think it's 8 parts. It's either 6 or 8 parts, yeah.
I think it's 6.
Okay. Okie Matt, your Second Doctor pick.
Well, me and Maria must be on the same wavelength, because my 2 choices when we were going to do 2 was Tomb of the Cybermen and the Invasion. So I'm going to go Power of the Daleks.
Power of the Daleks. Okay. Difficult to watch that one. Difficult to watch because they're all missing. So,
wait, they've animated that one, hasn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, yeah, the animated stuff. Yeah. So
yes, yeah, I'm sure I watched it.
Okay, so you picked an animated one. I was wondering when the first pick was going to be for one of the animated stories. So, okay, Power of the Daleks. Okay.
I'm not. Well, I haven't had time to think of the reason why, but I liked the story a lot. Obviously, you got the first ever consequences of a regeneration, and I think Troughton does a fantastic job at feeling very alien, but also convincing that he is in fact the Doctor, but he's not quite sure who the Doctor is at the minute. The side, the supporting cast, Lesterton, the chief, and the scientist, the top scientist. I can't remember their names, but I think it's Hensel. That's it. Yep. Hensel. They all had great parts to play. Nothing was really, I feel, overacted. There was not, subwoofer shattering screaming, and I really enjoyed it. Interesting, the concept of the Daleks needing electricity. I suppose they've been to static electricity to be able to move, and obviously that's very early on, and I wasn't aware of that until watching this story. And I suppose they've been upgraded and they've moved on from static. But it was a nice different angle of the Daleks that I got to see for the first time, I think.
Very cool. Okay. Adam, your pick.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I do agree with Jordan. Mine was the Mind Robber, because I just think it is classic. It's so fun. It absolutely plays into Patrick Troughton's strengths. Just so many fun moments in it. I love it when he has to put Jamie's face back together on that board. Just things like that. He's so cocky. Oh, that's his nose, all right. And of course, he gets it all wrong. That is just so Second Doctor. I love the Mind Robber. I think it's brilliant. And I love the fact that it was a kind of last-minute story that they cobbled together, and it turned out to be brilliant. So, yeah, I'll agree with Jordan on that.
Very cool. Okay, let's rattle through even faster now. The Third Doctor, Jordan.
I'm going to say, I'm hoping Adam hasn't chosen this one as well.
Wow.
I'm going to say the Demons.
Bugger.
For the Third Doctor one. Oh dear.
Why I oughta?
No, I really like the Demons. I think it's sort of the quintessentially Third Doctor-y story. You're in a creepy village. You've got UNIT. You've got the Third Doctor and Joe, who are one of the best Doctor companion teams of all time. Roger Delgado is fantastic in it as the Master. And even though he's only in sort of the last episodes, and 70s special effects not fantastically realised, but the threat of Azal runs through the whole story. You do get the sense that, oh my God, something big is on its way. So, yeah, I think the Demons for me.
Cool. Another quick one for me. I also chose the Daemons or the Demons. 5 rounds rapid. Bok, what a scene. And then, just the feel of that story is so cool. It's got like a very old school Hammer horror-esque gothic kind of feel to it. Yeah, and Pertwee's amazing in that one. So, yeah. Maria, Third Doctor, pick.
Oh, sorry. My computer froze for a moment, and I couldn't get back to the studio. I chose one. I don't think anyone else will probably have picked it. The Curse of Peladon.
Oh,
and I love that story. I really do. I think it's. I've always been fascinated when Doctor Who tries to do other planets, and this is something that's quite self-enclosed. You've got political intrigue in it. You've got a monster. You've got Agador. You've got the Doctor singing a lullaby. It's one that I kind of feel is like comfort Doctor Who. If I feel like I just want to watch something that's quite not difficult to kind of follow, and is quite satisfying, I kind of watch The Curse of Peladon, and I like it because it's the Doctor and Joe. There's a bit of romance thrown in there with David Troughton as King Peladon, so it appeals to me.
Nice. You haven't seen that one in yonks. Cool. Okay. Matt. I thought he's warming up for a big announcement here.
No, I'm going to go for Terror of the Autons.
Okay.
Good shout.
It may be a slightly obvious one, but for all the good reasons. You got Delgado. You've got Katie and John. An amazing duo. The Autons they're such a good villain. They're so creepy because they're everywhere. They're everywhere in modern day. And it's something like almost like the Weeping Angels. Stone angels are everywhere. That's great as well.
Cool. Coolio.
One that doesn't get a lot of love sometimes. Yeah.
Indeedy. Yeah. Ads.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with Jordan. Damon's I picked because I just love the gothic vibe of it and the location and everything. But just to throw a couple of good ones in there, I think Spearhead from Space, although it is a regeneration story and it is Pertwee's first, I still think it's classic. It's got some great moments in it. And Three Doctors, I think, would also be a fun one for people to dip into just to see, the banter between the third and second Doctor. I think it's a real fun story. And one that if you don't know a lot of Who, you could just easily sit back and watch. So I'll throw them in the mix as well. But Damon's, I think, is a classic.
Nice. Yeah. No, it's definitely a classic, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
And, a couple of good Robert Holmes stories, though. Terror of the Autons and Matt's choice. Okay, so fourth Doctor picks. Jordan,
Wow.
you're up.
Please don't anybody else have this one as well. I've gone for one that's a little bit overlooked, I think. I've gone for Horror of Fang Rock.
Oh.
Is the one I've gone for.
Nice one.
I was umming and ahhing between that and Pyramids of Mars. But I think I prefer Horror of Fang Rock a little bit more. Pyramids of Mars goes a little bit south when they actually get to Mars. But Horror of Fang Rock, it's actually really creepy. They're stuck on it. It's a fantastic set for a start. And you're literally stuck on an island. You can't get away. And you've got a monster that's just killing people off, and the Doctor kind of doesn't know how to stop it. And I think it's a fantastic one for Leela, who I don't really think then for the rest of that series gets much to do.
Yeah, true.
But I think Louise Jameson kind of carries this story. But I think it's a very, very good, if you're looking for something that's a genuinely scary Fourth Doctor story, I think Horror of Fang Rock is a very good choice.
Good shout, dude. Yeah, and it's got a small cast, hasn't it? And it feels very small and isolated. I think it's one of the very few classic stories actually written by Terrance Dicks, right? I think it's Terrance Dicks story. I'm pretty sure, yeah. It's a great one. Good choice, dude.
And it's a story where everybody dies.
Everyone. Apart from the Doctor, of course. Yeah.
Not the Doctor, no.
Yeah, good choice, dude. For me, my one is, I'm pretty sure I've selected Adam's one here. My choice is The Brain of Morbius. Oh, so The Brain of Morbius is one of those stories that, again, I've mentioned before, has got that kind of old school Hammer horror style vibe to it, and the bant between the Doctor and Sarah Jane it's really cool in this one. You can tell that they were really firing on all cylinders in terms of their interactions and their bants and everything. And the story itself is just so intense, but it shouldn't be, if that makes sense. It's like a silly Frankenstein-esque kind of old horror style. But more than anything, Philip Maddock, who plays Dr. Solon, is so intense and amazing in it that he's really cool alongside the Doctor. So that's a real fun one, and doesn't require any big Doctor Who lore to understand and dive into. It's a real cool one. So The Brain of Morbius for me. Maria, Fourth Doctor.
Okay. I went for The Robots of Death. I mean, there was so much to choose from really with Tom Baker, but I think this is classic Tom Baker. He's in his prime. It's in an isolated location, the sand miner. He's got Leela as his companion. They really vibe with each other really well. I love the supporting cast for the story. There's lots of character building with them. You've got those beautifully designed robots. I recently watched Voyage of the Damned, and I just kept thinking to myself, they're just ripping off the Robots of Death. But they're just so beautifully designed, those robots, and the way it gradually builds up. I mean, it's an Agatha Christie type story, which I love. That is a 10 out of 10 for me, that story, and I will always put that on and watch it. So I would definitely recommend that one.
Nice, very cool. Matt.
So I'm going to go very out of the blue with this one. The Sontaran Experiment.
Ooh.
Oof.
Purely because I think it's just really fun. And it's simple. There's no lore to it. It's a simple game of cat and mouse. You've got a beautiful location of a barren Earth, thousands of years in the future, it's the TARDIS team of Sarah, the Fourth Doctor and Harry, I think it's hard to beat. They're such a fantastic trio. Obviously the classic Sontarans, they're always high up on my list. I think Sontaran's great villain. But yeah, I think it's just a fun watch, and it's not too long either. It's not like it's not a 6-parter or an 8-parter, or something that you got to invest a lot of time to. So you pick that if you want to watch some classic Who, but you still want to have an evening sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's only a 2-parter, isn't it? So under an hour's worth of classic Who. Nice choice, dude. Adam.
Yeah, we're almost spoiled for choice with Tom's era, aren't we? And you've all picked good ones. Morbius was very close to being my pick. You're right, but I actually went with Terror of the Zygons in the end because I just think it's absolutely classic, and I think the Zygons are great. I think Tom's good in it, and I just think it's a really good story that balances that horror edge without going too far, like the bit in the barn with Harry and the pitchfork and that scary nurse woman, and all. It's very close to the bone for the time. For family viewing, but I think the horror element of it, of Terror of the Zygons, is brilliant. And you've got Unit in there as well. It's just a good one. And also the music's different. I love the music in Terror of the Zygons because it's although I love Dudley, Terror of the Zygons is what's his name? Jeffrey Bergen, and it's a lovely score. I'm just thinking of the end bit where they go back to the TARDIS, lovely flute music and stuff. So yeah, Terror of the Zygons for me.
Good shout. Dude.
And it was filmed near me.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been to the village. I've seen the barn where Harry attacks Sarah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's not
pubs...
changed. It is exactly the same as it was then.
Wow. See, I love it when locations don't change, but is the pub still a pub? That's the important thing. Or was it
is, yeah. Yeah.
Is it?
It's not called whatever it's called in that. It's called something like The Fox Goes Free. It's not... I suppose it's the Fox Inn, isn't it? I suppose in Terror of the Zygons, so it's not too different. But yeah, that looks exactly the same. The whole village looks exactly the same.
I'm putting it on my list now, Jordan, of places to visit.
Well, as is, if you ever come down here, I'll go with you. That's fine.
Definitely, sounds like a plan.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's also one of those quintessential. Awesome team ups, of the Robert Holmes, Philip Hinchcliffe era, when they did those very cool, creepy, dark stories for a while. Yeah, yes. Good pick on that one, dude. Right, we're going to rattle through these even quicker now. So when you give us your pick, we need a 10-second summary of why you picked that one. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So the Fifth Doctor, Jordan, over to you.
Ooh. I want to say Earthshock because Adric dies, but do you know what? I'm going to go with The Visitation.
Bugger!
The Visitation is an overlooked classic, I think.
Yeah, you're right there. So very quickly for me, my pick was The Visitation. So for Jordan's, exactly what you just said. It's a classic that it's not a hidden gem, but I think sometimes does get breezed over a little bit from time to time. And Adam and I had great fun reviewing this one on the podcast. So yeah, The Visitation for me. Maria.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go for Earthshock. I mean, it's just a classic Davison story. I think there's just some really good lines of dialogue in it, and the suspense in it is actually, it builds up and it builds up until you kind of see who the villains are. I love the pace of it. I love the way it looks. Adric dies at the end, of course, but
spoilers, Maria. Spoilers.
Oh, sorry, we won't cry too much. He doesn't really die. He comes back later on.
Poor Matthew Waterhouse.
You see Jordan cheering in the camera there.
Yes.
But I just think atmosphere-wise, I think it's one of the best stories from Davison's run. I just think it's just the way it's filmed is fantastic. I mean, Peter Greenway did a fantastic job with that.
Very cool. Okay, Matt, Fifth Doctor.
Short and sweet. For rubbish reasons, because I haven't seen hardly any of the Fifth Doctor's run. apart from the Visitation a long time ago, I'm going to go with the Five Doctors because I saw it yesterday and it was really good.
Fair dues, buddy. Yep. Adam.
I mean, the Five Doctors is just brilliant. Visitation is great too. I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball in, though. I'm going to go with Resurrection of the Daleks. Although it's grim and everybody dies, and maybe it's not the best one for people to dive into, I love it. I think it's a brilliant Dalek story, and I love Davros in it. And it's got that gritty location. I just think it's a great story. I love Resurrection, so I'll throw that one in. But secretly, it was Visitation.
That's another two-parter as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Sorry?
That's another two-parter. Yeah, so short and sweet, that one. Okie dokie. Sixth Doctor then. Old Sixie. Jordan.
Sixie.
I mean, there really is not a lot of choice for the Sixth Doctor. So I'm going to say one that everybody else is probably going to say. Revelation of the Daleks.
Bugger.
I think it's really good. Another one that was filmed down by me, and I've been to the location. But I just really like it. I think the Sixth Doctor and Perry, I think it's probably their best story because they're not arguing the whole way through it. Yeah. And I think it's sort of then that you see the relationship change, and it's kind of sad that you've got Revelation, Mysterious Panic, and then she leaves in Mind Warp, and it's quite, they've only just started being nice to each other. But I like Davros in Revelation. I think he's, feeding people their dead relatives is quite it's a very dark thing, but it's it's kind of one of those things where obviously that's wrong, but he has come up with a solution for universal hunger. So it's sort of like, I'm not going to eat my dead relatives, but he has solved the problem. So it's like, although it's wrong, but you've done it. So it's kind of an interesting look at him, I think, at Davros.
Yes, true.
In no way do I endorse eating, cannibalism.
Of course
relatives.
not. No.
Don't eat relatives.
Yeah. My pick was Revelation as well. Just because of the relation, like you mentioned, Jordan. I think Colin Baker and Nicola Bryant are very good together in this one. A ridiculously long, unnecessary supporting cast, but overall, it's cool, and Davros is good. So, Maria, Sixth Doctor.
Okay. I found this quite hard actually because his era is quite grim, really. And as Jordan says, there's not really a lot of choice in the stories. I did go for Mind Warp in the end. I suppose, as Jordan said, I think at that point, the relationship between the Sixth Doctor and Perry is a lot more settled, although obviously we've got the trial and everything going on. But I actually just like it as a story because we've got, visually, I think it looks quite interesting. They've obviously gone a bit mad with the colour palette. And you've got sort of Brian Blessed as your Carnos, and you've got the mentors and stuff like that. So there's some interesting stuff going on. I remember at the time, obviously, when it first went out, the kind of shock of kind of losing a companion. So it always stands out in my memory for that. But yeah, I think that would be the one I would pick.
Gotcha.
For Colin Baker.
Okay, interesting one. That Mind Warp. How many parts is that? Is that 4? Yeah. Okay, Matt. You haven't seen any of them. Here we go.
No, I have. I have. And I haven't picked any from season 23. Judge that as you will. But I'm picking I'm picking the Two Doctors.
The two. Okay, cool.
Yeah. For the image that sticks in my head of the amount of laughter I had when Shockeye and the Second Doctor are sort of they're turning into, I don't know what they're called, the Second Doctor androgons. The Second Doctor's getting turned into an androgon. Absolutely brilliant. He plays that part so well, and I don't believe that the Sixth Doctor is as mean to Perry, and it's just a fun watch, and the locations are beautiful.
Very cool. Adam.
Well, I'd pick Revelation, but I'll throw Mark Lorani in there as something a bit different because I think that one's quite watchable. It's got, the Master and the Rani together are quite good fun. It is difficult with 60 though, because whereas the Fifth Doctor, when I looked down the list of episodes, I was surprised how many I wrote down to try and pick from. He's actually got a lot more than I realised that are really good. With the Sixth Doctor, it was the absolute opposite. I was really struggling to find a particularly good one. But I think Mark the Rani and Revelation Daleks are two standouts from his era.
Oh, Pip and Jane. They love the Rani, didn't
Jane,
they?
bless them. Yeah.
Bless them. Okie dokie. 10 seconds each for your description or summary on your title. Seventh Doctor. Jordan.
I've gone for survival.
Oh.
The first Seventh Doctor story I ever saw, Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred are fantastic in it. I don't think the cheetah people are as bad as people make them out to be. And I think Anthony Ainley as the Master is genuinely scary. I think this is probably his best performance, is survival.
And also the lovely little speech at the end, right?
Which that's a good one as well. Yeah. Rounds off the series.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice one. My pick is The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Good choice.
Yes.
You've got to do the rap now, Gary.
Maybe after a few more drinks, we'll do the rap. But a solid story just because it's bonkers, but it's also entertaining without being like the bonkersness of it doesn't interfere with it being entertaining, if that makes sense. So yeah, a really cool. And McCoy is great in this one. Greatest show. Maria.
I actually went for the same one, Gary. I went for The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I just think it's such a fun story. I mean, it's obviously got creepy clowns in it, and I don't like clowns really, but I think it's a really well done story. I mean, in spite of all the limitations that they had at the time with the strike and everything, it actually looks really impressive. And I love Ace and the Seventh Doctor together. They're actually really good together, and I like this story very much.
Cool. Yeah, nice one. Matt.
I'm going with Ghostlight.
Nuts.
I undenied about Ghostlight actually, because I really like that one.
I think it's just the place that they've shot the scenes in, the location's brilliant. The progression in character development with Ace and McCoy is fantastic, and Ace has such a good part in this to play, and it's creepy. It's genuinely creepy.
Light. Yes, Ghostlight, good pick. Adam.
I just love the McCoy era. So bar about two stories, I could pick any of them, to be honest with you. I'd written down, I thought everyone was going to go with Remembrance of the Daleks, so I thought that was too obvious, but that would be my number one. I think Remembrance is superb as a story, and I think it's quite watchable for anybody just as a standalone. But Curse of Fenric, I also just want to give a shout out to, because it is a brilliant story, and it's a nice story for Ace as well, where tying in with her meeting her mum and stuff. So Curse of Fenric, Remembrance of the Daleks, I can't really pick the two, but I'm going to go with Remembrance, I guess. I just think it's brilliant.
Okie dokie. I loved Remembrance when I first watched it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
One of my faves on first viewing.
All I can remember you saying is the Daleks are wobbling all over the place. They look terrible.
Yeah. I think my only thought about Remembrance of the Daleks, because obviously it's a classic story, but I don't really like the idea that the Doctor destroys Skaro. I think that's the only thing that that I didn't like about the story, but the rest of it is really, it's interesting. You've got some really interesting human characters, I should say, in that story. It's a good story.
It is a fab story. Yeah.
Yeah. Good shout.
Yep. Okay. Do we need to go through McGann? There's only one story we can.
No, we all know. It's the movie.
The movie.
It's the TV movie.
Chimes of Midnight.
Chimes of Midnight.
I went Big Finish as well. Oh.
Your plum pudding, Mrs. Bagley. Very nice.
I went with Ravenous. Absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so the TV movie, it is what it is, right? So maybe we'll do a breakdown of that on a future episode. But yes, our pick for Paul McGann, outside of the little snippets that he's appeared in already, would be the TV movie. Okay. Kicking off from 2005, Doctor Who has just landed back on our screens and Chris Eccleston is rocking and rolling. For that Doctor, Jordan, your pick.
I am denied between The Unquiet Dead and Father's Day, but I think I'm going to have to go for Father's Day.
Bugger.
I can go for The Unquiet Dead if you'd like.
No.
I don't know. There's something about Father's Day that I just really like. And I think it's the first time that Doctor Who sort of explores the consequences of travelling through time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed. Okay. My pick was The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances 2-parter. Oh God, yeah. So you can't see this, listener, but I've got some faces looking at me like with the bugger, like you've picked the thing. But the atmosphere and the writing in this one, superb. So old Mothbag, when he was writing for Who before he was showrunner, crafted an amazing story for this 2-parter. It's got a great cast in it, and it's eerie, it's creepy, and it's just more than anything, Eccleston and John Barrowman together are very good. So it's a very good performance from those two. Maria.
Yeah, you stole my thunder, really, Gary, because I am denied, actually. I was going to pick Father's Day originally, but I did go in the end for The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. I think you're right. The atmosphere is superb. John Barrowman, he's such a young-looking Captain Jack. I mean, he looks amazing. It's a great story, and it is very creepy. I mean, that child never loses its creep every time I watch that story. I still get the chills when he's at the door and some of the other stuff that he does as well throughout the story. So, and it's got a really uplifting ending as well. Everybody lives. How fantastic is that? It's kind of let's put you through the hell, but let's give you a happy ending at the end of it. And the Doctor dances. You can't complain.
It's very true. The clue's in the name. Yeah. Matt.
Of a similar ilk, I was going to go with The Empty Child, Doctor Dances. So just this once rules, everybody lives. But I'm sorry for anyone from the north that just heard me. But I'm going to go with Parting of the Ways. I think it's brilliant. Bad Wolf and The Parting of the Ways. Absolutely brilliant first final showstopper 2-parter from the marvelous mind of RTD, and what a final it was. Absolutely brilliant. John Barrowman, Billy Piper, and Chris Eccleston, all fantastic performances.
Good stuff. Adam.
Yeah, I absolutely adore Bad Wolf, Parting of the Ways. I just think it's brilliant. I also think Dalek is worthy of someone dipping in. Yes. But I've got to go with you guys with Empty Child, Doctor Dances. I think it's just an absolute modern classic. I think it's a brilliant story written by the Mothball. It's a great 2-parter, and I think it just edges slightly up to the top for me, but it's difficult. All of those are great, I think, all of those stories.
They are. Yeah, it's a great first. When you look back on it, it's a great first series, isn't it?
It is.
From Chris.
It really is. Yeah.
Okay. Matt Smith, the 10th Doctor. Sorry, Matt Smith. Crikey.
Yeah.
I think I need some coffee.
No more booze for him.
Yeah. David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. Jordan, your pick.
I've gone for Tooth and Claw. I think it's an overlooked classic. I think the scene where the bloke turns into the werewolf is actually quite scary. I think Pauline Collins is brilliant as Queen Victoria.
Yeah.
And I think it is just a genuinely fun run around. There's not a lot of stakes in it, but it's a genuinely fun sort of almost first run around for David Tennant. I just think it's brilliant, Tooth and Claw.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. That's very cool. And isn't it the setup for Torchwood?
Yeah, the house is like Torchwood House or something.
Yeah, nice. Okay, dude. Yeah, that was an unexpected one. My pick for this one is another two-parter, and that is Human Nature and the Family of Blood. So this, for me, is one of my fave Tennant stories. Very short and sweet for me, just because David Tennant acts his socks off throughout all of this one. And it's a very good, creepy story anyway. So, yeah, one of my faves from old Tennant. Maria.
You've been looking at my list, Gary, haven't you? I agree with you. I mean, I think it's the first time that it's been explored what it would be like for the Doctor to be human. And I just love the whole premise of it. I love the idea of, you've got First World War coming soon. So it's kind of set in that very kind of tense pre-war years. There's lots of commentary about, the public schools, class system, war. There's lots of commentary in there, and it's also got that story about, what is it like if the Doctor's human? What happens to him? How does he come back from that as well? So I think it's a fantastic story. I mean, the premise of it is just amazing, and it's just so well acted. As you said, David Tennant kind of he just outclasses what he normally does as a Doctor, and that switch that he does between the two is fantastic.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, Matt.
Right, I'm not letting any of you look at my answer sheet anymore. I also had Human Nature, Family of Blood. I just think Tennant he's off the chart. He's amazing. But in which case, I'm going to go the three-parter of Turn Left, Stolen Earth, and Journey's End.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yep.
Amazing. It was the Marvel Cinematic Universe before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which annoys me greatly that they say Doctor Who should do something like this. And I'm saying, well, they've watched it. It was us first. But it's just amazing. The whole thing's amazing. Everything that you could want. The cliffhanger on Stolen Earth. I remember watching that live. And I almost just shouting at the telly, no! But yeah, it was a showstopper. Brilliant.
Good stuff. And Adam.
Yeah, Tennant had some great cliffhangers, didn't he? I'm thinking I was like that during Utopia, Matt. I remember when the Master locked him out the TARDIS and that being like, just could not wait for the next week to come. I had picked Human Nature, Family of Blood because I think it's brilliant. So I'll go with, because we were originally going to do 2 stories for each Doctor, which really would have been a 4-hour podcast if we'd have gone ahead with that. So I have got others written down. So I am going to go with Waters of Mars. Which was my sort of second choice. I think it is phenomenal. The Eternal Victorious bit at the end, it gives me shivers every time. Once again, David just acting his blimmin' socks off. It's such a good story. So I'll go with Waters of Mars.
Yeah, that's a good shout, that one, dude. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Now on to Matt Smith then. The 11th Doctor. Jordan, over to you.
I've gone for, this one's a bit out of the box, The God Complex. I watched it on my rewatch recently, and I was actually very impressed by how intelligent it is. I think it's one that will make you think. And I think it's quite a dark sort of twist that the Doctor has to make people lose faith in him. Just sort of pinches a little bit from the Curse of Fenric. But I think, as Matt Smith is not my favourite Doctor, I was pleasantly surprised by rewatching The God Complex.
Okay. Yeah, nice. That's a weird one as well. That kicks off weird, doesn't it? Where they land in that weird hotel, old school hotel, and there's a Minotaur knocking about.
I always quite like how it sort of starts off and you feel like you should be in the middle of it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, good shout on that one. I hadn't considered that one. The God Complex, very cool. My pick is Vincent and the Doctor for this one, just because I think there's been a few times where watching through the Matt Smith stuff, there's been a bit of an emotional wallop as you're watching through his stuff. But that one for me is just the run up to that bit at the end in the museum is just so good. And Matt Smith is lovely in it. And the guy playing Vincent's really good. Who was it? Tony Curran. Really, really cool. And then that last sort of 10 minutes, it's just, it just whacks you in the heartstrings, and it's a lovely episode. So there's some very cool Matt Smith episodes I had on the list, but I whittled it down to that one. So Vincent and the Doctor for me.
The music at the end there.
Oh, yeah, the
Brilliant.
music. Yeah.
You couldn't pick better music for that reveal.
No.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yes. Maria, your pick.
Okay, so if I wanted to cry, I would have actually picked Vincent and the Doctor as well. But because I don't want to cry and I want to have a good time, I actually went for Matt Smith's first story, which is The 11th Hour. I just love it. There's just something about it. The idea of the Doctor being in a little village and there's all these different things going on. You've got the alien in Prisoner Zero, which I think is really cleverly done. I just love the humour in it. And, Amy isn't my favourite companion by any means, but I just love the way she's introduced into the story. The raggedy man, the kind of the magical element that, is there even from the beginning of the era. And there was something else I was going to say, and I completely forgot what it was. But yeah, I picked The 11th Hour. I think it's a great introduction for Matt Smith. It's a great story. It's one that I've watched quite a few times. I love it.
Good pick, that one. Yeah, it's a great story, actually, The 11th Hour. Matt?
I am going to go quite out there with The Girl Who Waited.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because I think it really shows, well, mainly because of the fantastic performance that Karen Gillan shows in The Two Sides of Amy. The heartbreak of Rory having to choose. He can't choose because he loves Amy for Amy. But also the darkness of the Doctor seeping through, making that choice. I think, yeah, it's a very emotionally complicated episode of who lives and who dies, but it's thought provoking.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's a good shout, that one. Yeah, I've not seen that one in a while either. I'll have to get around to that when I get to the old Matt Smith rewatch when I get the Blu-rays delivered, I suppose. Adam, your pick.
Yeah, I like the fact you've picked out a couple of curveballs there, Jordan and Matt, because God's Complex I haven't watched in a while, and Girlie Waited I haven't watched in a while. So I actually really feel like watching them because Matt Smith's my favourite Doctor from the new series. I love him, but when I look down the list of episodes, I was sort of surprised and disappointed that very few actually jumped out at me as being that good. I love him, but I just look at the stories thinking, actually, he didn't have that many great stories. So I'm going to give God Complex a rewatch and Girlie Waited. And the two that I chose were Vincent and the Doctor and The 11th Hour, which just stand out to me as being great episodes. But yeah, Matt, I think, was dealt a bad hand, when I looked through his list of episodes. There's someone there that just are not that good. But those two are. Vincent the Doctor's great, and 11th Hour, I think, is really good.
Shows the power of his acting potential that even some of the ones that he had nothing to work with, he still made a good episode from just, his performance.
Yeah, that's very true, because when I watch an episode like the Angels in Manhattan and stuff, which is not that great, he kind of holds it together. I always find I enjoy him in a story more than the story with a lot of his ones. So, but Vincent the Doctor is beautiful. I've got to go with that. It's a beautiful episode.
It is indeedy.
It's interesting that we haven't actually picked any of the kind of arc-heavy stories that Matt Smith had with the silence and everything.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Adam. I had a look at the list of Matt Smith stories, and I was struggling a little bit because the seasons kind of really varied so much in tone and and story. I couldn't really find lots of consistent stories for him.
Same, considering how much I love his Doctor. When I looked at the list, I was like, God, there's actually not much jumping out at me here, considering how great he is, I think. But yeah, story-wise.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, dude. Yeah, I had the same thing looking through the list. Okie dokie. And let's go to the 12th Doctor now. So, Mr. Capaldi, Jordan, your pick.
Still, I was a bit like Adam with this one. Peter Capaldi is my favourite modern Doctor, but when I was looking at his stories, there weren't that many that I thought, oh, actually, that's a very good story. So I've probably gone for the same one that everybody is going to go for, but I've gone for World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. Not only is that a very good Cyberman story, and it brings back sort of the original Cybermen, Michelle Gomez is fantastic in it as Missy. John Sim for me, gets to redeem himself from... I'm not a huge fan of him with Russell Davies, so his master kind of redeems himself for me. Bill Potts is a fantastic companion. I don't like Matt Lucas, but he's fantastic in this. And Peter Capaldi is absolutely phenomenal in this story. And it really sort of hammers home who the Doctor is, I think. There's the wonderful speech where he says, I don't do things because it's easy, but I do it because it's right. And it's such a fantastic speech. But yeah, World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls, I think, for me.
Okay. Yeah. That's that's not a bad two-parter, actually, is it? In the end. Okay, my pick is a single story, and it is Mummy on the Orient Express for Mr. Capaldi. I think this one is a great fun watch just to dip into a nice Capaldi story without having to worry about the Clara stuff that all went on early on. It doesn't require your brain cells to tick over too much. You can sit back and enjoy this one. It's pretty good. And Frank Skinner's very good in it as Perkins. And visually, it looks very good as well. So yeah, it's a fun story, this one, for Capaldi. Because I feel like Capaldi's era was bogged down a little bit with very, very serious stuff a lot. So this is a good fun one. Maria, your pick.
Okay, I was going to go for Mummy on the Orient Express because I think you're right. That's quite a good fun watch. I don't know if it's a fun watch, but it's a good watch. And I love the idea of the countdown. But I'll go for the other Jamie Matheson story, Flatline, because I really enjoyed that story as well. I thought it was kind of really innovative ideas. It was quite creepy, set in the modern day. And I love the idea of the little tiny TARDIS and the Doctor with his hand and everything. That was quite funny. So, I'll go for Flatline.
Cool. Matt?
Oh, I didn't think anyone was going to pick that. I'll tell you what, I will... I'm going to go the Zygon inversion/invasion. It might be, I suppose, I didn't go with that one originally because it's a bit arc dependent. You do need to have seen The Day of the Doctor. But, I mean, it's a great watch. It's a really great watch. I love all the underground Zygon scenes and the speech that Capaldi gives. Man, that's like one of his best. Great writing. Clara gets a little bit annoying to me at the end when it's more, is she the Doctor or Clara? But then again, I suppose that's what they were trying to do. But yeah, great story.
Yeah, nice one. That's a really cool two-parter, actually. I enjoy that one. And the bonus with watching that two-parter is that it's followed up by one of Capaldi's best ever stories. So you can look forward to that one afterwards, which is Sleep No More. So
I can't believe you didn't pick that.
You can crack on with that one after. All good. Adam, your pick.
Yeah, I mean, I had a similar problem with Capaldi as I did with Matt Smith, and that I think he's absolutely brilliant as the Doctor, even if he's a bit uneven every season. They seem to try to change him to they didn't quite know what to do with his Doctor, but I think he's great as the Doctor. But again, some of his stories are not that great. So I kind of picked the ones that you've all picked. Mummy was the one that I'd recommend to someone if they hadn't seen any of his stories. I think he's superb in that. It's a watch. If I was to say a story that I thought personally was really good, it would be the Zygon two-parter, which I haven't watched for a while, but I remember really liking at the time and really thinking it was good. And like you said, the speech at the end is phenomenal. So yeah, I'll go with Mummy and Zygon as the two that I would pick as standouts.
Cool.
From his era.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's round this out then with the last Doctor, the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Jodie Whittaker. Jordan, your pick.
This was quite easy for me. I think I'm going to have to go with The Haunting of Villa Diodati. Mm-hmm. Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, Dr. Polidori, created some of the best Gothic fiction and characters and, worlds. The Lone Cyberman is genuinely the most terrifying that he ever is. There's the bit where he picks the baby up and you think, oh my God, is he, is Doctor Who actually going to, is he going to kill this baby or not?
That was horrible. Yeah.
It's a really dark moment. And I think Jodie Whittaker is genuinely very good in this story. I think she's someone that if she's got a very good script, she's fantastic. But yeah, The Haunting of Villa Diodati is brilliant.
Okay, that's a good pick. That was on my list, actually, but I'm not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Jodie's first story. And I won't go into it too much, we haven't got time, but the main reason why I've picked that one is because it feels like it was a good path to set that Doctor on. Whether they stuck to that path or not, in my opinion, is another story, but I think it is a very good setup story for that Doctor, and I think Jodie in her first performance as a Doctor is very good as that. So very different thoughts about how her Doctor panned out over the years after that, but that first story is very, very cool, and I love Bradley Walsh in that one as well. Yeah, very good. So The Woman Who Fell to Earth, Jodie's first one. Maria. Oof.
Okay, Oof. I was a little bit stuck with Jodie's Doctor. I mean, there could have been a few that I picked, but in the end, I went for one of the Flux chapters, which was Village of the Angels. I just thought that was a really creepy episode, and I just loved the whole atmosphere of it. It actually genuinely gave me some creepy moments, and and it's got a fantastic kind of conclusion as well. So that was my choice. Yeah, but I struggled a bit with her Doctor, trying to find some stories that I would pick.
I thought you would somehow. Yeah, Maria. Matt, your pick for Jodie.
I'm glad Maria said Village of the Angels, because I was very torn on that one, because I think that's the best. Personally, I think that's the best the Angels have ever been. They were genuinely terrifying, and when the Doctor turns into an angel, brilliant. But you do have to kind of watch the rest of Flux. So I went with Spyfall. I really like Spyfall. Massively because of Sacha Dhawan. I think he personally, and it's a controversial choice because there's Delgado, I think he's my favourite master.
He is good.
He's just brilliant. He's amazing, and I don't know if he will, but I really hope RTT keeps him on for the next season. But I whether or not the master shows up at all, because he featured quite heavily in Jodie's run. But yeah, I'd love to see more of him. I know he's got an audio series coming out, but I'd love to see more of him on screen as well. And the whole concept, especially the plane cliffhanger, great. The whole thing was brilliant.
Agreed. Yeah, that was not a bad story, that one. Yeah, and he was the highlight for me as well. Okay, Adam, last up, dude.
Yeah, last up. Yeah, I think if you were sort of recommending episodes to someone who hadn't watched any of Jodie's era, I think the ones you mentioned are pretty good. I think Spyfall jumps to mind as one that people would find as an enjoyable, easy watch. But for me personally, it wasn't like one that I particularly stood out. I just remember liking Demons of the Punjab as a story. I remember liking that one. I think it was slightly disappointing how the resolution to it, with them turning out to be these really cool looking villains, but they weren't villains. I don't know. So that did fall a bit flat at the end. So I did struggle with this one a little bit. So I remember liking Demons of Punjab, but I guess Village of the Angels, Spyfall would be fun ones for people to watch if they were new to Jodie's era, I think. So maybe I should go for Spyfall, because that was quite a fun two-parter for somebody who hadn't watched any of her era.
I can't believe nobody picked Orphan 55.
Yeah, well, along with that, I was going to say, I can't believe none of you have picked Kablam. What's going on?
I love Kablam.
Yeah,
I think it's one of her. I think it's one of her strongest in season 11. Obviously, not beating the Battle of Ranskoor of Kolos.
Nothing can
because that's just peak.
Crikey.
Disappointment. I mean, enjoyment.
But Rosa was sorry.
No, Kablam. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just fun.
I was just going to say, Rosa was one that at the time I really thought was strong. But I think going back and rewatching it, it's got a few issues that have kind of, it's not as good as I remember it. I just remember the first time I watched it thinking it was really powerful, but it's sort of lost its edge to me. Because I think Rosa was one I was expecting one of you to say, but yeah.
I was thinking about it. But yeah, the other one, was more enjoyable. Rosa's still a good episode for me. But yeah, the other one's I enjoyed it more. Yeah.
I think the time agent just falls a bit flat in Rosa.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's the time agent.
As far as Rosa Parks' storyline, brilliant, really, really well acted and performed. But
as far as historicals go,
that one.
Not too bad. Wow, that was a good old roundup as we rattled through all the doctors. We'll have to do it all over again in a year or two time when we go through Tennant's comeback and then Shooty's Doctor. We'll have to do it for those as well. But that was a good one. So some amazing picks there. So listener, if you've not dived into your rewatch yet, or you've not even watched any of these ones, especially from the classic years, get your pen and paper out, knock them all down. I'll stick them in the show notes as well, each of our picks and everything, and go through them. You will not be disappointed. These bunch of dudes here, they know their Doctor Who inside and out and back to front. So they've picked out some amazing stories for you to crack into. And I think on that note, we will end it there for the September Roundtable.
Count me into the allons-y.
Thank you very much for joining us for the September Roundtable as we gathered the team with a beverage of their choice. I'm not going to comment if it was alcoholic or not my place to say. And then we cracked through all of our recommendations for all of the Doctors. Sorry, McGann. Yours was the default that we had to go with, but I don't know. Maybe we'll do a Big Finish recommendation episode one day, and then we'll have a much larger pool of McGann stories to pick. But some great choices there, dudes. Thank you very much for putting the time in for your recommendations and so on. And we will see you next month for the next round table. In the meantime, make sure that you are following and subscribing to this podcast on your podcast app of choice. Give us a like or a follow there so you won't miss an episode, where at the moment they land every month until we crack on with some newer Who, and that lands later on. You can also listen for free over on the website, which is bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, and you can read all of the reviews and articles from this lot over there as well. So head over there and get stuck in. Also, check out Adam's channel over on YouTube. It's The Geek's Handbag.
That's the one. Yeah, a couple of new videos dropped at last.
Indeed.
Well, I'll do about 2 a year now.
Yeah, target books. Nice.
Yeah, very nice, yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Are we going to do these allons-ys? Right, here we go. Thank you for listening. Take care. And remember,
Can you mute after the facts? Because we've all just
I'm not
talked
muting
through
anything.
the ending.
I'm not muting anything.
We